Yo, pull up a chair, let the real talk begin. Faith on the table where the brothers lock in. Life gets heavy, but we stand our ground. Truth in the room when the circle comes round. No mask, no front, just real man here. Talking about faith through the doubt and the fear. From the grind of the week to the lessons we share. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair. Men's round table series, step inside. Real men, real faith where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the men's round table, pull up a chair.
Welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series Interview Spotlight. I'm your host, Mr. U, wherever you are. And however you're watching this show, thanks for making us part of your week. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, you can find all of the shows, all of our content across all social media and podcast listening platforms. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you have a question for our guest today, by all means, drop it in the comment section where you're viewing the episode. We answer those on air live as we get to those. But thanks again for your time on this. In studio with us today, the author of An Authentic Success and a financial services professional. We got Chad C. Betz in the house with us today. Chad, so good to see you, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mr. U. Great to be here.
We're excited about the conversation, man. We're talking about things that I love to talk about. And of course, our audience is generally at least 90% all males. So our perspective will be geared toward them for sure. One of the things that I would love to get your insight on is, why do you believe that people who relatively smart, intelligent people stay on the wrong path for so long, to the point where they on it so long, it's almost a shame for them to turn back and start all over again, so they continue on that same path? Why do you think we do that?
Yeah, especially for guys. We're like a dog on a bone. We go and we attack it, and that's kind of what society tells us to do, or society tells us to march forward, to go and get something. But we don't necessarily step back and think, is this the right thing that I'm getting? So we invest time, we invest years, sometimes decades, into a career, into a relationship, into something else that just isn't for us. And then we look at it, we say, I've been doing this for 10 years. How am I going to stop? And we just think of it stepping on the gas and moving forward. Where if we step back and think about it and really see where we want to go, what we want to do, we might find that we're just climbing the wrong mountain.
So, a couple of ways that we can hopefully get back to before the episode's over. In regards to the idea of burnout, we talk about it so much. I know I talk about it a lot, or at least a couple of the shows on our brand. I'm pretty sure you have a burnout story of your own. That's why you made it such a focus in your life. What would you say is the reason why you feel like burnout was something that you needed to kind of tackle yourself? Do you have a personal story attached to that?
I do have a personal story, and I'll give the reason first. The reason is loss of purpose. It's not working harder, it's working without purpose. And about 15 years ago, I was just sitting in my car in the parking garage, looking at the fence that separated the sections. And, my coworkers are leaving. You hear the around the corner and dunk as they're leaving. And I'm just going through my head, asking, what am I doing with my life? I felt like a complete failure. And that's a lonely feeling. You're sitting there, and for other people, might be laying in their bed at 2 a.m, staring at the ceiling, but you just feel alone, and you're saying, why am I doing all of this? And it took a while for me to figure out what the issue was, but it was, I was working for someone else's goals. I was helping someone else achieve their success at the expense of my own. So I'm working hard, someone else is growing, I'm stagnating, and I have no purpose in my life. And that caused the frustration and really just the isolation. And you wonder, it's like, am I being ungrateful? I have a job. People think I'm successful. Or am I crazy? I'm working hard. Why am I not getting to where I want to go? And it's not that. It's just that, we're, again, have that corporate ladder against the wrong wall.
Man, that story is profound for me personally. Excuse me. Had a situation. I was working with the government. Fantastic job on the surface anyways. It's with the government, so you can figure out what kind of stresses I had to deal with properly. Mm-hmm. Same situation, everybody speeding off of the lot, out of the facility, the compound, if you will. And I'm sitting in my car like, what in the world am I doing? I feel like I am mentally and emotionally and psychologically beat down. Why am I doing this?
Right.
And then I'm also thinking, there's not enough time between here and my commute home to get this off me so I won't bring it home to my wife and kids. So I'm sitting here like, what am I doing? And I really feel like that's kind of what you're talking about. And there's so many men that are watching, listening, who probably are in the same spot. I wrote down the words self-awareness and I wrote down purpose because I feel like those, if we don't have that, we'll do anything for anybody. Like you said, we'll be selling out to other people to help them accomplish their goals. And we'll be sitting back unaware, completely unaware of ours and our need to be who we're supposed to be. You know, so
Right.
I love talking about that. I love the story you shared. It was powerful.
Yeah, there's complications because it's like we have responsibilities. We can't just run off into the sunset and chase our passions. We have
No, it's okay.
families, we have bills. We have all these things on us, so we have to really find that balance of where we're going, and making sure that we have everything covered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, success shouldn't be something that destroys you. So
Right.
it says a lot when you lose so much in the exchange. And I've had discussions about this almost on a weekly basis. Seriously, success shouldn't be killing people.
Hmm.
And if it's diminishing that much of who you are as a person, mentally, emotionally, etc., there's probably something wrong there. So I love hearing what you're talking about there. When you talk about success versus authentic success, can you break that down for our listeners? What should it look like in practical terms?
Sure. So we're told what success is. The society tells us what success is. Our families tell us what we should be doing towards, and we never take the time to think about what we want. Especially as guys. We have a lot of times we're the breadwinner. We have to take care of the family, and we have all these responsibilities, but we don't take the time to think about us and what we need, and what we want to grow as a person. So it's important to take some time and to really understand, as a guy, what do I want to do with my life? And again, I'm not saying run off and chase your passions, but there
No,
are
you
things you
can't
can
do
do.
that.
No, it's impossible these days. But you might be able to start a side business where you're able to do some things that give you some satisfaction, or there might be some other piece you can do outside that gives you that satisfaction and helps you grow as a person.
There are things, man. We're really blessed to have the amount of shows that we have, and it gives a broad perspective where we can talk to people around the world and hear things that are so profound. I'm meeting people who were CEOs of companies. I'm talking about like Silicon Valley type money they were bringing in, have that level of success. People who are at the top of their game in their corporations and companies and everything, and they are finding purpose living on sailboats, man,
Mhm.
and doing things that are, I guess I would say, philanthropic and doing things for people, who otherwise couldn't help themselves. And I'm like, we chasing this big stuff. It's like, man, we just miss the little things so often. I wonder how many times we've walked past that stuff from childhood into our adulthood and just missed, the thing that will give us the most joy because we're obligated to do this thing that everybody else in the world, our family, our parents, the media, the world at large is telling us to do. What do you think is this whole idea of the frustration cycle? What do you think is, help us understand what that means, because a lot of us are probably stuck in it. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, first, I mean, it starts with distraction. You mentioned it too, that these big CEOs and they have the boats and this and that. What do we see? We see our highlight reel. We don't see everything else that goes into it. So we're basing our ideas on someone's marketing campaign. What they want us to see. So that can cause frustration. So why can't I do that? Why can't I have that vacation? Well, you don't see the argument with the wife because over finances because they charge too much on their credit card bills. Oh, he started a business. Why can't I? We don't see that the business failed 2 weeks later, or that he's working 18 hours a day and really struggling. We don't see that part. We only see that little piece. And so we're comparing ourselves to something that's not real, and that can cause frustration. But the other thing, and I say the main thing that causes that frustration, is kind of what we touched on earlier, where we get into that rhythm where we're working at the same job for 10 years and it's really not what we want. But we have that one thing. It's like, oh, if I just work harder. And we're like a truck going down the highway, and we keep stepping on the gas, thinking going faster will get us there quicker, but we're going in the wrong direction. So we need to be able to slow down, switch lanes, get off an exit so we can go in the direction we want to go. And if we don't, we keep pushing that gas, then we get frustrated because why aren't we getting it? So we go and we work harder. So we're not getting it. We get more frustrated. So it builds frustration, and we end up being focused more on the frustration and bitterness than we are on getting the job done. And then we can fall into issues where we might lose our job and other things because of our performance can suffer.
Yeah. This gets deep for me because I feel like there's so many people who are meeting now, and I almost kind of think it's starting to become a bit of an epidemic, in a lesser way than the one that we become accustomed to. But they're like people in their 40s, in their 50s, almost in their 60s, like myself, who are having to reinvent themselves. It's like, there's no, I'm not casting any aspersions. There's no shame in that, but I guess I feel coming off of them that they don't like the idea they have to do it so late in life. It's like, wow, I spent so many years doing this. Now I'm almost in my latter years. My best days might be behind me, perhaps, and I'm having to reinvent myself. Why do you think so many folks have found themselves in that position? What were the biggest mistakes that they made that caused them to be in that spot where they have to reinvent themselves so late?
I don't know if it's a mistake. I mean, it's expectations. We look back at how our parents were, our grandparents. I know, like my grandfather, he was at a factory forever, and they retired and had a pension. And then my father, same thing. He worked for the city of Bridgeport, and he worked through his whole career, and he had a pension. And then we get out there, and we go and we're working hard, and all of a sudden we're laid off. What happened here? And then we get another job, and then all of a sudden technology is completely changed, and I have to reinvent myself again. What happened? And it's just, I guess, the environment that we're in now, especially with the dawning of AI and other technologies, and then how jobs have been farmed around the world. It makes it harder for us. And so we had these expectations coming in, so we're prepared from seeing what we saw in the past, and everything's completely changed, and we were kind of blindsided. So that's why I think it's not necessarily a mistake. It's just the way things happened, and we just need to adapt to it. We have all this experience, but if we keep doing what we're doing, we're just going to end up being outdated. You need to take that experience and adapt it to the new situation, learn the new technology, learn how the new corporate structures work, and then pursue that so that we stay relevant. Because I'm in your boat. I'm 2 years shy of 60. It's important to stay relevant, and also to stay healthy, to have that energy to be able to do it. Because what are the age stereotypes? He doesn't have the energy to get it done. It's important to show that you do have that energy to move forward.
Without question. I'll ask a couple more questions and then we close the broadcast. I'll check. Good stuff from you so far, sir. Thank you. Wow. There's so many people, it feels like they have taken the traditional route. I personally am one of them. I think I was an entrepreneur long before I realized what it even was and how I can even spell it. And I pushed that back for probably 3 decades. And didn't want to embrace it. I am now, but I wasn't doing it then. What is some practical advice you can give to somebody who is at the place where they're kind of inching up on that wall? They can kind of see, this is probably not going to be a road I can continue to keep traveling for another 5-10 years, especially as speaks to the husbands and the fathers. What do they do? Because I know there's a lot of people who are invested in their continuing to stay on that road, It provides a benefit for a lot of people, family, and people outside of the house as well. What kind of practical advice would you give if somebody approached you who was in that spot? They're like, you know what? I traveled the traditional success journey. I think it's going to come to an end. I don't like where things are going. I got to pivot. What do you tell them to do?
I tell them to talk to people who've gone through it and know what they're talking about, and avoid talking to your friends and family about it. In this case, I mean, it's always good to, I'm not saying keep secrets from your family, but when you go and you ask your family for advice, I'm getting kind of tired with my job. I really, it's like I have this business idea and I really think that I could succeed. A lot of times the family's going to want to protect you, thinking that it's too high risk. You have a great job. How can you start a new company? Do you know how much risk that is? Do you know how many companies fail? So you get this emotional reaction from your family because they love you and they don't want you to get hurt, but they don't have the information. It's important to talk to a coach or to a mentor or to a trusted advisor who has the experience of starting that business you're looking at, so that you can get the good, the bad, and the ugly and make a good decision based on facts, not on emotions. Because a lot of times that's where we go. It's like we go to the people closest to us for advice, our friends and family. And sometimes, our friends are great, but they don't necessarily want us to succeed more than them. So they might
keep us where they are.
Right. So they're not necessarily the best people to talk about this.
Yeah, no doubt. Good stuff, man. Our final question for you, and then we'll close the show out for today, man. You say that success doesn't have an expiration date. If somebody that's listening today, I'm sure there's going to be somebody either live or on the replay that's listening that feels stuck. I don't even know who they are personally. Overwhelmed, convinced they might have missed their opportunity because of age, because of time, and the change in the era, like you referenced earlier today. What are 2 or 3 actions they can take this week to kind of propel themselves forward, get on the right trajectory, if you will? What can they do?
Sure. So when you're in that state, you're not really in the right state of mind, right? Your confidence might be shot, your mindset might be off. So the first thing I recommend is to look at your accomplishments. You may not have accomplished them for you. You may have accomplished them for somebody else, but they're still accomplishments. You have the ability to get things done. Once you know that, it's like, yeah, I could do it. The second piece is to find out what you want to do. Now, I'm sure you've done this too. It's like when you're going through and trying to figure out what you want to do, just write a bunch of goals down. And that's how I did it. And now I developed the 20 goals exercise where you write 20 goals down. And when I did it initially, I was just going through and I was looking at, and I started seeing patterns. So, okay, write a book. Okay, public speaking. Okay, giving interviews like this. And what I saw the pattern is I wanted to help other people succeed. That gave me satisfaction. So that was the pattern I found. When other people do it, you'll find different patterns. And that gives you kind of directions of where you want to go. And the third and the most important is take action. Nothing happens unless you do something. It might sound, silly, but it's true. We kind of sit in the planning section. It's all comfortable to make plans, but until you actually do something, nothing gets done. And you don't have to jump in with both feet. You can start a side business, do a little bit of experimentation, stick your toe in the water, see how it works, and then move forward from there.
I love it. Thank you very much. He's a financial services professional and the author of An Authentic Success. And you heard a lot of what he shared during the episode. The big difference between success and authentic success. Betz, thank you again for being a part of this conversation, man, and for sharing this with these guys. Fathers, husbands, brothers, and sons that are listening to the show today. Thanks again for doing this, man.
Thank you. It's a great conversation.
Same here, sir. If you're watching and listening for the very first time, thanks for making us part of your week. Of course, you already know, at least you should know, that this show is a sister to our Men's Roundtable Series podcast, which is airing every Thursday night, 7 p.m. EST. A panel of men from around the country, even around the world, are tuned in and locked in to talk about issues that are germane to men. So if you want to be a part of that, by all means, find us on YouTube and Facebook, or our YouTube channel, of course, youtube.com @ Call Me Mr. U. You can find our shows, get tuned into the conversation Thursday night, and of course, throughout the week on our Men's Interview Spotlight. Thanks again, Chad, for being a part of this, and have a fantastic day, guys who are watching and listening. I'm Mr. U. That's Chad Betz. We're out. Have a great day. Thanks.
Men's Roundtable Series, step inside. Real men, real faith, where the truths collide. Voices at the table where the stories get shared. Welcome to the Men's Roundtable, pull up a chair.